You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
All right. Today is our monthly meeting with the mayor. I can always tell when we're having a meeting with the mayor because they'll come and sit down, and first the bomb-sniffing dogs come in and check us out, and then a couple of big guys in suits come in and give Taylor and I the TSA pat down, and then he comes in.
You're starting to like that, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, yeah.
Get the smile on your face.
Pat me down. You missed a spot. That kind of stuff.
Whoa.
But anyway, no, it's always interesting to talk with the mayor because, a lot of these things we talk about really affect us here. And even though that the grind of government can, sometimes make our eyes glaze over, we got to know what's going on. It takes, 3 times to get anything passed officially? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the way it was on that committee was on, but same for the all. I mean, it's not like y'all can just, hey, I have a great idea. And it's passed. I mean, it's to go through a lot of grinding and whatnot. In particular, we're going to talk about the budget, which I don't know. When I read, I didn't see anything particularly controversial about it, you might say, but then maybe there is, and I just don't know about it.
There's not. It's a matter of just being the most effective you can with the money we have.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I mean, I glanced through it a little bit, but I haven't seen any commentary. I said, "My God, can you believe they're spending this much money on whatever?" I think most people are at the point they understand as a growing community we're going to be having to spend more money.
What's the hottest button you think? Boy, that's a blind side.
No, I'm trying to think. It's fine. Probably those kind of projects that are used to beautify the city a little bit.
We don't have any of those in the bond.
Yeah, in the bond, no. But it's things like, which I frankly approve of. I like things that make the city look more physically or attractive and whatever, more appealing. But some people think it's not necessary. But I like it.
I'm one of them. I understand that. We've got a major initiative on Wilshire that's going to help our egress. We got so many egresses that they actually become dangerous.
Now, as far as any of the hot button, I really didn't see anything. I didn't see we're spending too much money in the parks, or we're spending too much money on roads. I didn't see anything like that in the commentary on social media or any other conversation outside of that. I think it was a fairly standard budget, you might say, for a growing city.
We're a little bit behind on our infrastructure that we a little bit behind if we were staying about the same size, but we've got the growth coming in. So we've got, I don't want to be reactive in what we do. I want to be proactive. So we're not sitting here having to make decisions under distress, okay? Which is a hard thing to do.
Well, I know. And I think from what I saw, it was a 6-1 vote, right? And so at least the majority saw the budget was satisfactory. And I didn't see really any. Like I said, I didn't see anything, and plus we were talking about the rates. After running a couple of commercials here, I want to talk about probably one thing you're the proudest of, and that's you lowered the tax rate.
We're at like a 10-year low on our rate.
Now, hang on, I got to pay some bills here.
Yes, sir.
All right, these guys are
You started the discussion.
These sponsors might say, "By God, Allard, I need this here." Okay, and there's our friend Sherry Scott. Good morning to you too,
Sherry.
All right, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Talked to Daniel or his crew about what's going on. He's got the workouts, he's got the trainers, he's got the facilities, the whole thing. It's a really good program. And so if you're looking to start or continue your workout program, 317 Southwest Wilshire is what you want. Also, thank you to the Stogsdill Group with Shandy and her crew. I mean, I think she's in Tennessee right now. One of the things she likes to do is look at old homes. We don't really have a lot of older homes in Burleson, do we? I mean, not like
Tennessee. I mean, you go into Nashville and go down some of those. We've got good friends that's got a house, and they're all different levels. This one house has got all these different levels and everything.
That's where
really
she was.
Beautiful.
Nashville and Franklin and all that. And so I have her on, quite often to talk about real estate rates. She tells me that the rate of increase is slowing, at least. And that may be a whole raft of reasons why. Maybe the interest rates have something to do with that. Who knows? But she also says that Burleson is still, in comparison to most areas of this area, DFW area, is still a hot market. Us, Keller, Saginaw are really moving pretty quick. But there has been some slowdown in the rate of increase. Also, thank you to Otto. I was there just yesterday with breakfast. I'll have breakfast there Thursday with my gentleman from my Sunday school class. You ought to join us sometime at 6:30 a.m. I bet
Call.
you come by. You know our friend James is there, and you probably know a couple other people there. It's a good group of men, and we talk about some sports. We talk about maybe the world events or whatever, but it's a pretty good place to do it. I don't know, 6:30. You strike me as an early riser. Yeah, I'm not.
6:30. I've been up a little bit.
I'm not. I'm getting to the point where if I have to get up before 7, I feel like my rights have been violated. Anyway, also Wild Cigar and Culture. They're having a big to do this weekend, and also it's a good place to watch some college football. It's nice. It's quiet. They'd have the sound down so it's not blasting away like some sports bar, and you can get yourself a cigar or something from the bar, and you have a good time there. Do a little business there, and they have a nice meeting room area if you want to have like your company, for like a post-work meeting of some sort. And also Local Life Magazine with Tiffany. I saw her Saturday at Sam's.
Congratulations, Tiffany.
Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah. And she's still glowing. She's still on the honeymoon kind of thing, but it was a great wedding. It was very, very Texas wedding. They had all the grooms and the whatnot were, and the best man wearing jeans and nice hat, jacket, and they had dogs involved, of course, and that kind of thing. So it was a good thing. It was nice.
Happy for her.
I am too, and she does a great job with that magazine. So and all the other stuff. I'd like to have her on pretty soon, but September I'm booked up. We're doing something. If you've got nothing to do next Thursday on the 22nd, come on by here around 11 o'clock. You'll meet about 5 of our nonprofits. We're doing a big nonprofit show.
Oh, excellent.
They're going to come in and say it's that North Texas Giving Day, right? Uh-huh. And they're going to come and sit where you're sitting for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes and talk about their stuff. And then we'll just move on to the next one. They'll come and they all know each other apparently. So it's just going to be a little party. So you can come by and get your picture taken and all that. So who knows? Put it on a campaign poster. Oh, that's for next week. Okay, whatever. So anyway, let's talk about the budget. You were going to talk about the rates because I know that's something that you're real pleased with.
Well, the rates can be misleading, and I know that. And the valuations are kind of leveling off a little bit. Mm-hmm. But we did lower the rate substantially, and we're at, I forget the number of years, but we're at a 10-year low on our property rate. Well, something like that.
But still, I'm sure you get complaints about their bill.
Well, you're going, I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. There's not a whole lot we can do about the valuations, but I need to explain why we drew the line of where we did.
Okay.
In the budget, we have to project the valuations, and we have projected a 3% increase, okay? And you use that projection to budget a lot of stuff. And we're very conservative on our projections. Our valuation is very, very conservative. But if you go down the road and you miss that, and we've given a big reduction in our rate, we're in trouble.
Right.
We're in trouble. The road projects that we're doing, the whole thing, if we miss that and have to go back to the citizens with the landscape the way it is towards property tax and stuff like that, and we say we need to go up, we might not get it. Now, and I wouldn't blame anybody for being that way.
Now, I know that with the schools, if you raise the taxes, the rates anyway, past a certain point, and it's not a very high rise, you have to go to the citizens for
absolutely. We have the same situation.
Same situation. Okay, yeah, you'd have to go to the citizens, and I don't think you want to be in a position yourself personally to go to the citizens. Hey, we're going to have to vote for a tax increase. You'll see about 90 for sale signs in your yard or something like that. That'd be a very difficult thing to do.
And we rely on Martin Avila is our director of finance. Mm-hmm. And this guy has probably got the most boring meetings in the world. It's accounting, okay? Mm-hmm. But he is very detailed on why we have to do this and why we have to do that. And our city manager is just knowledgeable about this as Martin, John, all of these guys. It's a great group. So the projections, we always lean towards the worst case scenario. Okay, we don't want to take any chances of missing that window of doing some of these projects. Now, there was another project that was brought up. We have a part of the city that created a tax situation for the transit train. You remember that when they was trying to get the train coming through the depot in that area?
Right.
That piece of land right there is the reason we have so many apartments, because that type of development promotes multifamily zoning.
Right.
So this was this tax situation. Well, the train has gone away, but that money was still sitting there. And the way that it's set up, you can do things with that money within that area, of which we had roads to take care of. Or we can reduce the tax rate by 1 cent. Now, this is about $8 million worth of projects. And we had to take a look, and there was a couple that wanted to give the tax rate. I wanted to too, but I didn't think it was the right thing to do. We could either reduce, in most cases, around $35 to $40 for the whole year on somebody's tax bill. We'd be giving up $8 million worth of projects.
That's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize about changing the rates and whatnot is that, you know, it sounds like it's going to be a massive amount of money, but it quite often it's less than $100 either direction. Even if you cut the rates, I mean, it's going to maybe cut your bill a few dollars a month, or if you raised it, it'd be a few dollars a month. It's the kind of tax rate changes that would really affect your budget, or not your budget, but your personal tax payments. You'd have to get the people to approve it. I mean, they have very restrictive ranges in which you could change the taxes. And so if you really wanted to say, well, we're going to give them a really whopping big tax cut, you'd still have to get approval, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so...
Now, we can cut all we want to without approval.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have to ask for that. Nobody's going to say no to that. Just raising it back up.
Right. I mean, if I had a kind of tax decrease, so it was like $100 a month or something like that, you'd have to cut the tax rate significantly to achieve that. You know, it's like when the state of Texas manipulates the tax rates and property rates and say, we're going to save you money. And I get my evaluation, I saved about $80 one year, the last time I think they cut the taxes. You know, $80, I'm not at that point where I could just kick it out the window, but it's $80 for the year. You know, a whole, what is it, divided by 12? That ain't much. So
you're exactly right.
You know,
when you start looking about the dollar bills that you're giving up for $8 million worth of work.
Yeah. I mean, they probably change the Burleson tax payment like $10 a month, maybe, or less.
Yes.
And all the other inconveniences of not doing those projects. Because I know there was some discussion about, some of the road constructions and how some of the people were opposed to it. And I read all that discussion from your last meeting. Well, not the one just last night, but the previous one. One thing when you're dealing with the public and dealing with public expenditures, public building, public infrastructure, is somebody somewhere is going to be irritated. When they build a school.
Yeah, I got one this week.
Yeah.
He wasn't real happy about everything going on Renfro right now.
Right. And it's like, well, I know, but there's a bigger picture here. When they built that new Kerr Middle School, it increased traffic around where I live. And I could be as upset about that as I want to be, but they're going to build there because we need the school, right? And the same thing with these roads. And I'm driving down Renfro yesterday, and they're doing all this construction. And I'm thinking, I'm going to call the mayor and give him a piece of my mind.
Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that works for you.
But I'm just saying that, if you let a small group of people say, I oppose this construction because it inconveniences me, well, then we're going to inconvenience about 95% of the rest of the population. So that's just part of governing.
And it will inconvenience you sooner or later.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
If we don't do the project, later on it's going to get even worse. And that's where we're at right now. TxDOT has already started taking core samples on doing the 6-lane improvements on Renfro.
Yeah, I saw them doing it.
Yeah, and that was one of the projects that was in this way of this guy going home. So in between that and Jimmy's car wash, and also down the road there was some some
let's be
barrels
clear
sitting
to the listeners: it's not Jimmy Stanford's car wash.
No, it's not Jimmy's. No, this is Jimmy Purcell's. He's got a car wash.
Okay.
And I know it's another car wash, so I don't want to go down that road either.
Yeah, but we're going to say, when we said Jimmy's car wash, well,
I
what
shouldn't
is
even
this?
said car wash. So anyway, all three of those was right in line to where this guy went home, and I'm sorry for him, but we don't have control of the developers, their time frames. It's in TxDOT. You don't say anything to TxDOT; they just go do it.
Well, I'm inconvenienced a little bit on Renfro, not so much because of that housing, but all the big trucks, so they're going in and out of that thing and it's slowing me down. I'm trying to, get to where I'm going, but that's just the nature of a growing city.
It'll get better.
It's a growing city, and when I've lived there long enough, I remember when they expanded Renfro, from this 2-lane blacktop that was a death trap of what I heard, and expanded it out like they have now, all the way to basically to. Oh, I don't know.
It's Egan, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, from one direction. Then in the other direction where I live on Christopher, it expanded it out and repaved it and all that. For about 2 years, it was really a pain in the rump, and to drive down that road. But, you couldn't keep it at the way it was before. Can you imagine if we're trying to grow a city and all we had was a 2-lane asphalt blacktop going all the way down East Renfro to Alvarado?
We couldn't do it.
No, not a chance.
And what's really neat about the projects going on right now, I don't know if people realize it, but from 35 all the way to Hearst, which is the entrance to Centennial, it's going to be a 6-lane, putting in a brand new bridge, all of that, double turn lanes. I'm wondering if the ISD realizes that we're putting 2 turn lanes going into their school.
Well, we'll explain it to them then. We'll tell them.
Yeah, you're fixing to get more traffic at your doorway.
Well, and there's also with BHS, it kind of bottlenecks around Elk Drive and Wilshire and all that. And it just, just the nature of living in a community. I mean, when I try to get from like my place to our place, like I did last week, I went through 3 school zones, and it's like, it was a beating. But what are you going to do? I can be as upset about that as I want to be.
Well, the problem with BHS though is you also got Wilshire traffic all hitting at nearly the same time when rush hour starts.
Right.
So Wilshire's got this extra lanes coming in, and we got the intelligent, intellectual or intelligent lighting going in. One of them.
Yeah.
Smart stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I do know for a long, long time, I don't know if that's still what I think about it, but a long, long time, the school district wanted to sell that property on Wilshire and Elk Drive and move to a bigger facility because that property is pretty valuable, just for the tax purposes. But I think I don't know if they're still going to do that, but I know they would like to have, or at least do something other than what they have now. But this is not about the schools; it's about the city. I don't know how much I'll have to do other than help with the plumbing, but
we have to be mindful of the traffic program. Is my understanding.
Yeah, but that was something that was discussed a decade ago when I was still more involved in that kind of stuff. But now not so much. Who knows? They're
in a bad spot because they're probably needing more schools. And people's not going to be real happy about putting in new offices. They're in a pickle. Joshua's in the same situation.
Well, that's why they haven't done it, because it always comes down to, okay, we're going to go ask the people for a bond to build stuff, and we either can build 2 elementary schools to relieve the overcrowding, or we can relieve the overcrowding here in administration. And no one is going to be really, really excited about making sure that the administrators have a bigger office kind of thing. They're going to vote for the schools every time. As they should, and as Jimerson would probably agree, because it's overcrowded schools are a real problem, educationally. But we're going to have more. And, I remember when they were doing the bond issue for Centennial, what was it, about 15 years ago? They said eventually, if we grow out to capacity in our district, we'll have 4 high schools. Yeah. You ever think we'd love to see today we had 4 high schools? No, we may not be around for that. I mean,
I don't think we will be. But the thing about it is, if you look at the footprint of the land, even the ETJ that needs our sewer and our water sits on, it's going to get that big.
Oh, well, they said that we have 4. Well, probably 30 years ago, Mansfield never thought they'd have 6, or Frisco certainly never thought they'd have 6.
They still got a lot of dirt.
Yeah,
they still have a lot of dirt.
Well, so we're looking at that now. That for the future. Now, I don't have any insight of what's going on with the board about possible bonds or possible building, but I would not be shocked within the next 12 to 18 months, something like that comes up. But now, we were talking earlier about road construction. You said you had some pretty exciting news about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the one of the neat projects that we funded with the bond is being taken over by TxDOT.
Saves us a little
So
money.
that's going to help us. It could.
Yeah.
We've got that. We are getting verbal commitments to get things started. We have 5 projects that's going to impact Burleson. They're going to take 917. TxDOT's taking that all the way to Mansfield. Renfro will be a 6-lane to the school. And then from there, it's a 4-lane split, meaning there's going to be a median in the middle with turning lanes, all the way to 917. Part of that is the county.
Wow. I mean, that's a long drive, right? I mean, it's a long piece.
one.
Yeah. Oh, to what they used to call Happy Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's getting picked up on, and
That's going to take a long time.
I'm hearing, well, they've got it on a fast track. I got a little dab of information for you. Some of the projects we're having federal money is ton of it sitting there waiting on us. And the reason it's not getting divvied up is because some of the requirements for using is charge stations for electric vehicles.
Uh-oh. Taylor heard that.
Hello.
Yeah.
What does Taylor have one?
He's a Tesla.
Oh, that's yours out there.
Yeah. He's
Oh, my gosh.
he is the king of the electric car for this county. He loves these electric cars.
Oh, I do too. I really do. I'm not in favor of them, but I drove an electric Porsche and I've had some fairly quick cars.
Yeah.
This thing was scary.
Doesn't compare.
This
Doesn't-
They're so crazy.
Yeah, and so you're saying if we want to access this federal money, we got to put in these charging stations?
on some projects, yes. And it's not just us; it's the big roads like 30 and 20 that's trying to look for some development.
Oy.
They want these massive charge stations out there. So we don't know what they're going to ask on this, but I think we're already good on 917 and Renfro about getting that done. I think we're beyond that point. It's the major corridors that's wanting charge stations.
Taylor, what's the nearest charge station in Burleson?
917 has a Tesla supercharger.
Where?
Where the Sonic is? What is that? The Texas Best Barbecue Exxon, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was one out there.
Yeah, there's a Tesla one.
Right on 35,
Installs.
you mean?
Are they specific to the brand or are they universal?
Those are, yes, Tesla specific.
They won't plug into any other car.
Not those, no.
That's not much help, is it?
Well, the majority of them are Teslas.
not
when they were
in
built.
5 years.
It'd be like finding a Chevrolet gas station.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
really. Well, I'm sure the ones that they're going to go
When they
to.
built it, there wasn't very many other options.
Well, they'll probably have a universal one, I would imagine.
They're all converting.
Yeah, I just know that
Somebody will make an adapter
sure.
Yeah, no, there's adapters everywhere.
already.
Yeah. Well, but there's not one in like Old Town or anywhere of Wilshire or anything like
Closest
that.
you're going to
Is
get is like Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
They have like,
They've had that for a long time. That was
Yeah.
pretty innovative back then.
Well, I suppose, but it's pretty good marketing. My parents live in Corsicana, and the Cracker Barrel and the Collins Street Bakery, sandwich shop, not the bakery itself, and the Chili's, they all have them because it takes about 20 minutes to charge fully.
yeah, more or less.
So what are you going to do for the 20 minutes? You go inside and have some coffee or something like that, and so it's a pretty sharp little marketing duo. I think
Collins Street Bakery gives you a free pastry.
Yeah.
Show your Tesla key.
And so really,
Yeah.
see, so if
How do they charge you? When you plug into like?
Tesla's done through the app, so I've got like a card on file. And so it'll just charge my account. I don't have to like swipe a card or anything. And a lot of the other ones like ChargePoint, you have like an app, so you have a card on file. You just swipe your phone.
So a full charge costs you. This is a little personal, but how much is a full charge?
A full charge, 15. It's gone up a little bit, like 15, 20 maybe max. Like if I'm like completely dead, like at 1 or 2%, and go to like 100%, maybe like 20.
And you get how many miles?
305, 10ish.
well,
That's excellent.
it's not too bad. It sounds cheaper. Now, Taylor, if you can plug it in at home, right?
Oh, for sure.
But
Yeah,
it
and a
takes
lot of the
takes
electric
longer?
companies have like off-peak hours, and
So if you like it
rates.
overnight and stuff like that,
yeah.
but
Ideally, that's what you do. You charge at home overnight, so you wake up to a full quote unquote tank of gas every morning.
So I drove this Porsche, and it was
nice.
pretty cool, man. It was scary fast. It really was. And I get out on the access road, and I give it a little goose and everything, and like, oh my gosh, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't even have the performance one, and that thing is faster than I would ever need.
But anyway, I hear this. I said, what is that? He said, people don't like silence, so they have an engineered sound in this car to make it sound like an engine's running.
Oh my!
I like mine quiet.
Yeah, it is. I can, when he starts his up, I can't even hear it, and he's slowly converting me to electric cars. There's a lot of other issues at stake other than just charging stations about the battery.
Well, like California, like they got rid of all their, oil-based infrastructure or whatever for electricity. Like you have to get an electric car, and they're like, oh, you can't charge your electric car
because of the power outages.
Yeah, there's times a day we're supposed to unplug your appliances or something.
Yeah, craziness.
You have to build your infrastructure first before you make these crazy.
Yeah, they've had a lot of things.
I would not doubt it. By the time he's our old age, that gasoline cars will be something that collectors have and show off. But as far as like for most common things, but there are other issues involved. And Taylor and I have talked about having a show about it, just on that, because I don't know much about it, and he's very enthusiastic, and like my brother-in-law and my sister have an electric car and they love it. So who knows? Maybe I'm out. I'm going to go do the second round of commercials. I'm going to talk about something.
Already?
Yeah, half hour's gone.
Blabbed the whole time.
And that's fine. Well, no, that politicians do anyway. Anyway, Southern Gym on the top of the Windmiller building. They're moving downstairs. I probably told you that last time. They're just about to begin the process. And so fine jewelry and gemstones. They do repairs, they do cleanings, they do the whole thing. Yesterday, Gayla and my wife and the other two employees went to a jewelry convention, if you will, over in Dallas. Does that sound like heaven for any woman?
Yeah,
it's for not so much.
Sound like a nightmare for the husband.
Well, it wasn't really for like retail. It was like for jewelers like Gayla, and they were dealing with vendors and service and suppliers and whatever. But it was, that sounds like just a piece of heaven for a lot of people, But Gayla also is certified in various certifications about jewelry. She's not just selling jewelry; she knows jewelry. So there you are. Then we have Hot Works with Michelle Humphrey over in 731. Next Monday on the 19th, I have her on. She's doing a poker tournament for charity for glioblastoma, brain cancer, and I'll talk to her then why this particular charity or event, why this particular cancer may have some relevance for her, because we'll see what happens. It's always a good interview with her. She's very sharp, very entrepreneurial. But anyway, Hot Works on 731, 11 different workouts. Also, thank you to Melissa Harmon, Texas Farm Bureau. She's dealing with me right now. I tell you, changing insurance, you need somebody to hold your hand through all this. There's a lot of details. It isn't like clicking a few buttons. If you do that, like it's make it sound like on TV, you may not get what you want or what you need. So talk to an agent like her, 682-804-0534. She just started her sales with Texas Farm Bureau about 3 weeks ago, and she's very busy because she knows her insurance. I guess everybody in life has their calling, and this is her calling, is insurance, so there you are. Also, Pinnacle Concepts is a new one as well from the last time we met. Her name is Danette Juster. Do you know her by any chance? No. Well, she's in the chamber, and she's also does stuff with the police group and whatnot. So at 303-324-9906 is the number you want to call for her interior design service. She did this in Colorado. She's moving here to Texas. She's been here a few months. Interior design is one of her specialties. She also does a little commercial real estate in this area. So interior design, if you're looking to remodel, talk to her, because she's very, very creative, very personable. I think you'll enjoy her quite a bit. We have a couple of nonprofits we got working on. This is in Fort Worth, or Euless, actually. This is a Teen Challenge. This is one of Melissa Harmon's groups. I mentioned her just a few minutes ago. And she has this golf tournament in her group that does it's like a home for troubled teens. And they're raising money. It's over the Texas Star Golf Course. So if you want any information about that, 817-685-7888. And we have this Rise Mental Health Seminar. I believe we have 7 seats reserved for the city council for making sure they have good mental health. Yeah, of course, if you're on the city council, you're right. And if you're on the city council in the first place, we got to question your mental health, but whatever. But
I've been questioned a couple.
Yeah, I bet you have. But this is something done by a young lady named Sarah Nicole Tynan over at Pathway, and they're going to be doing it on the 8th. And it's going to be not just seminars and talks and breakout sessions, but also there'll be vendors and discussions. A couple of food trucks out there. It's going to be a good thing. I think that's all we got working on right now, but we'll see. I'm sure I'll get more. On Thursday, I have Next Step Women's Center in a couple of days. I always enjoy having them because they always have lots of good information for us and a lot of things that are going on over there. And okay, anyway, one of the things that we were visiting about, and I wanted to bring it up with you, but I didn't really want to bring in a topic that's hard to address, and that is we're seeing some of the urban issues from Fort Worth drifting down here to Burleson. Yep. And, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying doggone it. This is something somebody should do something about. The mayor should do something about it, blah, 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 because that's just the way the world is. But we are starting to see in Burleson some of the things that we see in Fort Worth. Is that just me observing as I drive around or hearing somebody say something on Facebook, or is that a legitimate observation?
Legitimate. When I called you this morning, I'd seen on Facebook where there was a gentleman that's been hanging around Whataburger, and our citizens are probably the most sympathetic I've ever been around.
Sure.
Big heart and the whole thing, and I appreciate how they care for people. I mean, you can see our nonprofits.
Oh, absolutely. We got
our churches are amazing.
Right.
So this is. But then when you look at how I like to handle things, I want to be proactive instead of reactive, whether it's roads or whatever. In this case, we're going to have to address this issue of homeless coming here, okay? And there's not a whole lot of options. Anytime I pick up a project that I don't know anything about, I start looking at other areas like other towns, stuff of that nature. But what we have right now is there's a couple of places where we have some homeless people. They're on private property. City can't do anything about it unless the owner says to. And then you're limited on what you can do. But even if we do anything, where do we take them? All of these are kind of up in the air. And I haven't had any meetings to discuss this with anybody yet, but I need to. But I want to say something to our citizens. You've got a big heart, but if you buy them food, they're going to come back. Okay, now that sounds like a hard statement. I don't want it to be that way, but it really is. So be careful what you're doing. There's a lot of times some of the homeless doesn't want to change their lifestyle. They're happy with what they got. There's some that needs help. They appreciate the help, and they're going to move on. But be careful about who you help. Don't change your heart. I'm not asking you to change your heart, but be smart about it. You can be taken advantage of.
When we had Jennifer Woods on from Harvest House, they get homeless come through there.
Yes.
And they help them, but they have a very
vetting process.
Well, that's what I'm trying to think of. But they also have a procedure is the word I'm thinking of. They just say, here's a few bucks. I mean, they have a set way of handling it every time when somebody comes in, particularly from out of the county that's homeless. They have a way of handling it in a way that helps the person but doesn't encourage them to continue to come back every day and make it a lifestyle. The last thing Harvest House wants is the kind of help they give to become the lifestyle of a person. So they have a very regimented format, or not regimented, it sounds strict.
And it took a long time to get to that point. We had the trial and error to what worked best for our clients and to get to a point where you aren't enabling.
Right, and I know the Harvest House is something you're pretty close to.
Yes.
And they, Jennifer's telling me that they have a situation where, okay, here's how we handle this. Now, if we see this guy again, we handle it differently. And as far as like, they don't give cash money out or whatever else. They may, if somebody says, I need help with the electric bill, whatever, they have a way of working that out. And they have a really good process that helps without enabling. And I think sometimes, you and I, we drive around, we see those people, like particularly on the corner of 1187 and the highway, right on
That's getting to be a point.
QT. Now that's Fort Worth, isn't it, or Crowley? It's not Burleson.
No, that's Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
The
Okay.
35 is Fort Worth corridor.
Right. And so, we see them and they have signs, and it really does touch your heart. But, also we know stories, and unfortunately this is true, of either the money we give them isn't going to go to feed the children, but it's going to feed a habit, or it's, they're just not, you're choosing not to work. And you hate to have to say that, because we don't want to encourage an attitude of callousness. But on the other hand, are we really doing these people favors by just continuing giving them money or food or whatever, and they never do progress from what they're doing?
But there's so many stories out there.
Yeah.
One person needs the help.
Mm-hmm.
One person is just playing you.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you figure out which is which?
It's very difficult.
It is just heartbreaking to me to go by somebody that's standing on a corner asking for cash.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to quit beating myself up, and everybody else needs to quit doing that too, because I don't know. I don't have an answer for this. This is not something I'm saying we're doing this, we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm kind of leaning more to about protecting the citizens on this stuff.
And there's that aspect too, because I go to downtown Fort Worth routinely, and there is more homeless than there used to be, and they're more aggressive than they used to be.
Yes.
And I mean, they're not nearly as reluctant to come up to you and demand or really push you for a donation of some sort. 5 years ago, you never saw that. Maybe COVID changed things, I don't know, but the last couple of years in downtown Fort Worth, the people that run businesses down there, restaurants and bars and whatever, I know they've been complaining to the city of Fort Worth about people that are being much more aggressive. And of course, you have those homeless shelters on Lancaster, and they don't hang out there all day. They release them during the day, and so they just go into downtown Fort Worth, and it's they're around the bus station, and where the bus station is, the intermodal station off of 3rd, and it does raise concerns. And then no matter how we like to be charitable and whatever else, when a homeless person comes up to you, your anxiety rises, because you don't know if they're mentally ill or they're on drugs. They don't know if they're going to be aggressive with you. It is an uncomfortable experience, and that's probably what you don't want to happen here in Burleson, I'd imagine.
Well, Ken was attacked by a guy in Austin.
Yeah.
And that's something that concerns me, and he didn't handle it wrong or anything. He just...
Well, I've never been attacked. I have been
berated.
Berated is a good word. Yeah. Now, so here we are in a situation. We want to do the right thing by people, our people and those people, and it's very difficult to make those kind of judgment calls. But are there any plans? You said there are no immediate plans, but have you thought about talking maybe about, as a community, having maybe hearings or whatever? What should we do about this increased problem? Because it is an issue we have to face.
Well, one of the things that I've observed is towns that create a place for them to stay. Like Austin just spent millions of dollars on a hotel. Mm-hmm. I don't know what their status is right now, but the places that have created them have closed up.
Right.
So they're not long term. We know that. Towns can't afford it, and once you open the doors, they start flocking, but they don't want to stay.
I don't want this to get it to be like Seattle or something like that. I don't think it will be, because Fort Worth isn't nearly as bad as Portland or Seattle. And I'm not saying that's where we would be heading, but we would have a situation where if we become known as a lenient city about certain things, we're going to attract more of it. But again, then we're compelled by our compassion, our Christian faith, our civic duty, or American patriotism, whatever you want to call it, all the above, to not just turn a blind eye to what's going on to these people. And that's why we have Harvest House. That's why we have Promises Community. That's why we have the nonprofits that we do. But there's going to be a point where the city might have to start spending public money on this. That's going to not be an easy decision to make. It'll be controversial for some. They just spend public money on it. We got people that don't want to spend public money on parks because they think it might attract the homeless. I mean, if we had like a homeless center here, that would have to be a decision made as a community.
We already have a lot of our parks have got secluded places, and you can't make everything wide open.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through Shannon Creek right now trying to address that problem, but we already have drug issues on some of the darker areas of our parks.
That I haven't heard, but I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. Nothing surprises me really anymore because,
I understand.
but it just saying it's, it really, for my decision, what I would do is if I were you, I'd say this is a problem we need to confront before it becomes really beyond our control, and maybe have a commission or a committee study it, whatnot, of civilians and whatnot. And
that's the reason I brought it up to you today. I want to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a solution. I know it puts our police department in a tough spot.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm sure. And people who want to take the harder approach and say, well, just pick them up and dump them somewhere.
Where are you going to dump them?
Yeah, that's the first thing. Second of all, it's not even legal. There are civil rights issues involved here, whether people think they do or not. The homeless do have certain levels of civil liberties, and so they don't have the right to, panhandle and bug you. But what you do, they don't. You just can't pick them, put them in a car, and drop them in Crowley. That'd be a violation of the law. And it's pretty clear.
You got a question?
I'm responding to one, yes, but it's not really a question. All right, I'm just. But anyway, I would just say. All right, I'm going to post this right. I'm going to say that this is a growing problem that people need to address, and we want to address it appropriately. All right, and
absolutely,
and appropriate would mean not just for the community, but appropriate for them too, the homeless. Because you and I both are people of faith. We both are, believers in Christian compassion and charity. And that probably is what compels us to want to give them a couple of bucks as we drive by. But that's not
the right thing to do.
That's not always the right thing to do.
And we don't know.
So that it's, and that really is an issue. And I hope we deal with that head on, because we're going to get more and more urban related issues. I mean, when I moved here 30 years ago, drug-related crimes were relatively minor. Now they're getting fairly serious. And it's not because the people of Burleson are, turning in a certain direction. It's just we're becoming more and more attached to this giant metroplex area. We're no longer an isolated little cow town.
A lot of our problems is because we're right next to 35.
Yeah. And that's just going to keep going on further.
Yep.
And I'm sure the police, Billy Cordell's told me the same thing when we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't talk about this specifically, but he said, no, that there are certain crimes that we would never have heard about or saw in our little town 20 years ago, but now, like that problem we had with the QT about 3 months ago, that was significant.
It was.
Yeah, that was something totally out of the norm for Burleson. And, so...
We've got unique issues.
Yes, we do. But there, as far as other issues, shall we say, about, urban areas, whatnot, one of the things I think we've addressed well was that we do have opportunities, and, we have the brick, we have the other things that try to present as a community with alternatives for kids to do stuff and whatever else, but we're not going to be able to shut out the whole world like we would like to, put up a wall like some would have us put up, but no, it ain't going to happen. But I think Burleson's better equipped than a lot of communities because, we have the brick, we have a really active library, we have a couple of very active sports leagues, we have churches, like you mentioned before, that have very active youth groups and whatnot. So I think we're better set up than many to kind of keep people occupied and out of harm's way, out of trouble.
What I like about our town,
mm-hmm.
and we've seen this over and over,
mm-hmm.
is when we have a specific situation coming up, when you put the word
mm-hmm.
out of how our town comes together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about individuals, churches.
Mm-hmm.
It no matter what it is, it seems like we step up,
mm-hmm.
and that's a great group of people.
And I've been really, I don't want to say surprised is not the word, but I've been made much more aware at sitting here in this seat doing these shows, just how many people are involved in nonprofits and charity and whatnot.
Oh, I'll tell you, Harvest House is having their feast here next week or so.
Yeah, it's the 17th.
Yeah, and it is a bunch of negs get together and throwing money at a good cause. It's great.
Oh, okay. I know that there's going to be something similar for Next Step on October 11th. I was honored with their invitation.
You gonna be there?
I'll be there.
Excellent. I will too.
And there's also I know the Center for ASD just had a big golf tournament. It was very successful on Friday, and they're moving into newer facilities. So we do have a lot of people with the right attitude, the right hearts. We're just going to be put in a situation where we have to make some hard decisions. And you don't want to come across as harsh, but you also don't want to be encouraging a problem.
Well,
but that's what
my history is everybody knows my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and the decision I have to make. My number one goal is the safety of citizens. Period. I don't care your beliefs. I don't care anything. It's not. I have to take care of and the council's on board with that. There's not just me. The whole council is concerned about the safety of our citizens.
Well,
and all this plays into it.
Well, that's obvious. All right. I don't think anybody questions that. I know one thing that's really been helpful is they opened up that new health clinic on Haskew over by QT and by the First Baptist Church parking lot. But people misunderstand that it's not a health clinic. It's not a free health clinic.
No, you have to have an appointment.
Right. And it's not meant for people that have access to Medicaid. It's really meant for people that have jobs but don't have insurance, which a lot of our folks, that's the situation. They may not get enough hours at their job, or they may not work at a job that provides insurance. And so that's really what that health clinic is there for, because the way they look at it is we have Medicaid for those without care, and there are ways that we can help them access it through these nonprofits. I know Harvest House does something like that, and so does Next Step. They will connect people to Medicaid and whatnot. But these are for people that maybe have jobs, but they don't make enough money to afford insurance, and they don't get it through their jobs, and they still have sick kids.
And they really don't turn anybody away.
Not really. No, I mean,
they really don't. If you got a situation and you're needing help, they're going to help.
Yeah.
And hats off to Texas Health on help pushing that.
I've been trying to get them on the show for a while, but it's like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, it's very difficult for them to make this appointment, so to speak, with me, because they have to come over here and do it and all this, and they got people they need to see. So we're going to try to find a time that we can do this show without taking them away from their more important duties. So I hope so.
Be specific on the subject matter. That might help you get through.
Yeah. Well, I just want to talk about what they're providing for the community and how does one access it. And if people are interested in that, they could do that. They have not just a website, but they have phone numbers, and they're very easy to get a hold of.
They're not much of patting themselves on the back.
No, they're not.
But when you get somebody else talking about them, you'll understand what they mean to this community.
You betcha.
We have had a great relationship with Texas Health. Penny Johnson has been a great CEO for that place, and they got a big old heart.
Yeah, I know a couple of ladies that work there at this health clinic, and it's they don't tell me a lot of the tear-jerking stories, but they tell me a lot of uplifting stories.
Yes.
About mothers coming in with a sick child, and the mom works at Walmart or something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know if they have insurance or not, but they don't have insurance, and their child is getting taken care of, and that's, as a parent, you and I both can relate to just how distressing that could be when your children is sick and you can't do much about it. So those are the things I look at with our community, and I see this, and I know on the issues we've been talking about with homeless and whatever else, we're going to respond in the right way. We are going to respond in the right way.
We don't know what the right way is yet.
Yeah, we'll find that out, though.
And I think that's where we bring maybe it's my job to go contact some of these mayors I know that's got the same issues, see how they're handling it.
Yeah.
Don't reinvent the wheel here. Let's figure out the direction we go. I'll take that on myself to do that.
Well, okay. There you go. And maybe next time we visit, and which is probably about mid-October, October 13th, 14th, whatever date that is, we'll talk about it again, and you'll have maybe some answers. I don't know of any other town other than, I know that Arlington has a big one. Do you know a lady named Tilly Bergen, by any chance? That's who you need to talk to.
No, I don't.
Her name is Tilly Bergen, Arlington Mission. It's a big outfit, the Arlington Mission. I'm familiar with it a little bit because it's right next to UTA, and when I was with Southwest Christian, we did a lot of stuff with them at least once a year. So Tilly Bergen knows is the name you want to talk to because she has a big outfit and she could tell you how they do their financing, how they do their outreach, what kind of services they provide, how do they determine who gets what services and whatnot. And I assume, I bet Mansfield has one too because it's big enough now. But you never know because we're as much as people would like to think so, we're kind of like past that point where we're just a little country cow town. We're going to have the problems of the world. So,
is what it got some up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and you know, I've always said this ain't Mayberry, but it's changed, and that's just fact of life. Well, yeah, I've already run through the sponsors, and you know, they said I don't really need to repeat them all the time. So if I give them a good enough shout out during the show, I don't need to repeat them again. So I'll let you have the last word. I'd like what you want to know us to know about budget, what we've been talking about, whatever else.
You know, I know I'm the mayor and I get credit for a lot of stuff, this and that, but
you also get a lot of blame for stuff.
That's fine.
Okay.
But I guess the thing I want to get across is how good council's been working together. Our staff at City Hall is enjoying their work and we're getting a lot of stuff done. We want to hear from our citizens. I'm not getting emails like I used to. I kind of miss those. Be sure and give me your phone number if you want to talk. And we just got a great town. I mean, I'm so proud of the hearts in this town. And we also have the cool sounds of fall now.
Oh yeah,
we hadn't talked about that. We got some good bands coming up. Got two more.
What about that group you talked about before?
Which one?
Oh gosh. Warriors, something.
Oh, Cowtown Warriors.
Yeah, it's the one.
Yes, yeah. Yes. That's they're financial help for our veterans. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they've also kind of hooked up with Texas Health for the mental aspects of it and help them out on that. But keep them in mind. Mm-hmm. Not exactly sure where the group is going. Burleson's going to be the first charter member. Mm-hmm. So that's up to AK how he's going to handle that and take it up.
Well, if he's ever in town, let's get him in that seat.
I thought y'all already had that worked out at one time.
We communicated, but we really it kind of drifted off a bit.
Big stories. We're going to start having a mayor's minute that allows veterans to tell their story.
I remember last time we talked about it and we communicated and all this, and I think it's like, yeah, I'll get to you when I'll communicate when I got a better idea what we're doing and where we're going. I guess they're still making those decisions.
Yeah, we've got several people that want to do that, and we're trying to lay out a schedule to get that done. But veterans are very private individuals.
Yes, they are.
But we need to tell their story of what they went through so we can have our freedoms. And give them a little pat on the back. Yeah. And a lot of them don't want it. They just want to be left alone.
Most of the older veterans, my dad's age, whatever, that served in various conflicts or not, they don't talk about it. And even if their stories aren't particularly, Hollywood drama, they just don't talk about it. It's like, I did my duty, and now I'm doing this one, and that kind of thing. Most of them don't strut around showing off their medals and that kind of stuff.
We have one guy said, I'll tell my story, but I don't want my picture up there.
Okay, that'd be great.
We can do that.
I like that kind of modesty, because, the people that talked a lot us often did the least. So anyway, I'm getting diverse, and you got to go. I got to go. Taylor's got to go. And so I appreciate your time. We'll see you in about a month. And this will be on podcast PDQ. Right, Taylor?
Yes, sir.
All righty. And we'll see you Thursday with Next Step Women's Center.